Very good to see you. We can start the conversation. I've actually heard great things about you from one of the board members at Cloudera. So I just thought of reaching out to you, and thanks for taking the time to do this. We appreciate another fellow Boston, New York CMO joining us on the podcast.
Yes, thank you so much. No, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm really looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome, Mary. One sort of question I would like to start with is, if you want to explain what Cloudera does, as if you're explaining to a 21-year-old, like what does the company do? Would be great to understand that from you directly.
Yeah, so right now, and maybe I'll take it up a level on why I joined Cloudera, and then talk to you about what Cloudera does. And the market opportunity is massive right now. It is exciting and terrifying at the same time. And this is game-changing technology. We've seen it. Well, I've seen it in my career, 3 decades of client server cutting edge, .com cutting edge, Internet of Things cutting edge. And this is really game-changing technology that really changes the way we live and work. And like I said, it's similar to the .com and Internet of Things. And those markets were incredible. Right. And artificial intelligence, as you know, it enhances the speed, precision, and effectiveness of human efforts, right? AI involves machines acting as if they have human intelligence, learning from data, solving problems, and performing tasks without explicit programming. I call it it's creepy cool, right? And AI's demonstrated the ability to generate art, music, written content. And I think we've really barely seen the really real of what AI and generative AI can and will and do and the impact it will have. So, I'll look forward to your custom GBT on this session momentarily, right? And so with Cloudera, imagine all of your data, one platform, limitless possibilities. And at Cloudera, we empower the largest enterprises with the ability to transform any data anywhere into valuable insights that they can trust. We all know that data is at the core of every aspect of decision making and within any business, right? And the real line here of what and who Cloudera is that Cloudera is the only true hybrid platform for data, analytics, and AI, with over 100 times more data under management than any of the other cloud vendors. Cloudera empowers global enterprises to transform data of all types on any public or private cloud into valuable and trusted insights. And as a data leader, 15 years in the making, I'll say, we were kind of the big data pioneers back in the day. And so we're by no means where we started out. We've evolved. And I'm going to I'm a marketing person at heart, so I have to give a little plug for our Evolve 24 conference. As we continue to evolve, we are laser focused right now as a marketing team and company on our annual user conference, Evolve 24. It's starting next week, August 6th in Singapore, and it runs through December 10th, ending in Madrid. And this industry leading event will span the globe, bringing together just like the who's who of customers, partners, and industry leaders together. And the theme is kind of cool. It's trusted data today for tomorrow's AI. And we'll explore how data and AI revolutionize businesses and industries. And so, again, from a marketing perspective, this type of program incorporates every aspect of my marketing team, from analyst relations, media, product marketing, partner marketing, social media, field marketing, demand generation, even our marketing ops team, because we have to track it, right? And so I'm really excited to showcase where Cloudera has been with our rich history of big data to where we are today and where we're going to be in the future. So please do take my personal invitation to join us at any of the cities and register. I would be delighted to have you as one of our guests.
That'll be awesome, Mary. Thanks for explaining that very detailed. So a couple of sort of follow-up questions. You said only hybrid cloud. Is it because Cloudera can manage data across both public and private clouds? Is that the reason? Okay,
Yes, and I went my very first week. I remember meeting with one of the analysts, and he said, Mary, and I've been here about 9 months, and so this was probably back in November. You're the industry's best kept secret, and you have in production what only other companies only have, in pilot mode, right? And he said you have to bring the cloud back to on-prem. And so we have this hybrid model. We don't care where your data resides. Right. And some companies are going all in cloud, right. And some are saying, well, on-prem is a little bit more secure for me. And some are kind of doing both. And so we support and our platform and products allow you to you choose.
Right. That's a good differentiator. Yeah. And also, one phrase that you used, which I really liked,
Yeah.
was
Oh no, I have a lot of Maryisms. Which one?
no, I think all your data, one platform, limitless possibilities,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know who coined that one, but it just seems to make a lot of sense for a platform like Cloudera, and I see that in your homepage as well. So kudos
Okay,
to
great.
that tagline. And so
Yeah. Yeah. See, it's already ingrained because, so yeah, limitless possibilities. And like I said, I think we're just at the beginning of this, right? So
that's great, Mary. So
yeah.
in terms of uh, marketing in general at Cloudera, right? I'm sure to your point, you are in a very important phase where you're helping enterprises manage their data across different clouds.
Mhm.
What marketing programs are you excited about this year? Any new initiatives your team is trying to take to make Cloudera stand out?
Mhm.
Would love to hear from you on that one.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Thank you. I think one, first and foremost, would be Evolve 24, the
Yes.
annual user conference, the industry show that I'm talking about. Truly, everything will point to and from that event, right? This is kind of our debut in kind of that next, here's another one, I'm going to Maryism, the next era of Cloudera, right? And so we're really excited about that, but also kind of looking at, what are we saying no to as well? And
Right.
like I said, I've been here for about 9 months.
Right.
And the first 3 to 4 months, I ruthlessly prioritized our foundation and operational excellence, focusing on things like primarily on budgets, optimizing our organizational structure, integrating marketing plans and metrics, and really breaking down any type of silo within the marketing team. And building that solid foundation allowed us to optimize a high-performing marketing team already in like record-breaking time.
That's great.
And those foundational building blocks have allowed us to create an integrated marketing machine that is collaborative and relevant from the top, middle to bottom of the marketing funnel programs. And everybody can see their fingerprints and impact. So while I want to tell you I'm the most creative marketing person that you've ever met in your entire life, it really does start with those basic blocks and foundation. Because when you have that, then you can fly and amplify and create these programs.
Yeah, so well said.
Yeah, thank you. And in addition to programs, we're currently in the process of refreshing our brand, at the same time integrating our programs and team to drive pipeline and put Cloudera on the map. And with the integrated and collaborative approach, our messaging has been simplified. And that's no easy feat. That sounds simple to do, but it's not so techie product oriented. You can actually tell people, like I told you at the beginning of this call, who's Cloudera? Right. And the messaging needs to be consistent across any region, across any campaign program, and consistency is key. You'll hear me say that a lot because we have to look like a cohesive company across the world. And some of the examples of some brand programs that we've just launched in the very short time that my team has been assembled here, a few weeks ago, I think you're in the Bay Area, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you remember that it was really hot in San Francisco a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we partnered with a cloud partner and we did a snow cone truck in front of Moscone and activated that outside of this industry event. And we're showcasing kind of our new look and feel and presence. And we actually handed out snow cones and cold drinks. And it was really effective and was really fun too. And I have to say, I wasn't sure at first, and it exceeded my expectations. And of course, the weather helped as well. But we had thousands and thousands of attendees visit our snow cone truck and grab a cold drink and a snow cone. We captured hundreds of MQLs, and because we had a QR code on the side of the truck, and people just I want to learn more. So we're doing your traditional branding campaigns, and also kind of getting a little scrappy, as I like to talk about. I was just going to talk about also how we go to industry events, and I think that this is important for other marketing people to hear. Big events like Gartner or the AWS summits, big trade shows, and these are really my team again with this operational excellence, very well thought out. We don't just show up and stand at a booth. We focus tenaciously on what are we doing pre-show, during the show, and post activity to drive the biggest impact in terms of awareness, generating and accelerating leads, and leveraging ancillary programs on site for closing opportunities. So again, it's how you show up. And our team is always thinking of new programs that we can implement to better connect with our customers and make sure that they know our offerings and value. And one of the more popular ones now, and I'm sure you've done one before, is things like a virtual wine tasting program, making it an experience, or marquee sporting experiences. And the rule of thumb on the team is these are all great events, but they can't be without content. And I call it the, hey, did you know? So even if it's only a 10-minute elevator pitch at a Boston Red Sox game, you're going to leave saying, hey, I didn't know Cloudera did that. That's pretty cool, right? And so always trying to deliver content with a little bit of creativity. And I mentioned at the beginning here, part of the plan is what we're saying no to and cutting down. We don't need to do 500 events on Tuesday around the world, right? We want to do fewer things, bigger and better. And so since we've cut down all of these silos, everyone in marketing has one playbook and we're making it happen together. And I think in one of your questions that you sent ahead of time, you were talking about the types. I can't single point to one single type, and the reason why is that mix matters.
Right.
In a program, playbook, right? And knowing where the prospect or customer is on the buyer's journey at the times helps me and the team gauge what do we need to dial up and what do we need to dial down. And sometimes it's a video, sometimes it's a deep dive technical presentation, sometimes it's an event or a digital campaign. And the idea that mix matters is based on audience persona based marketing and the funnel stage. And so making sure that we're tracking that diligently as we launch our program. So again, metrics matter and mix matters. So I'll leave you with that. And any questions on that? I know I kind of threw out a lot, but I want to give you kind of the breadth of types of things we do.
Very, very helpful to understand how you're thinking about it. Couple of things I want to talk about, which I think you said eloquently, and I think the folks listening would also be interested in it, especially marketing leaders. Your sort of concept about how to make a marketing team integrated and not operate in silos, because that is like the dream for all marketing leaders. How does the team function in unison, right? Any thoughts on how you established that? What sort of went into that? I would love to sort of peek behind the curtains a little bit just to see how you sort of streamline the workflows when you sort of begin the journey at Cloudera.
Yeah, so it's somewhat of a hybrid model, like a lot of companies are, right? And again, I've been doing hybrid for decades. I was doing it when it was unpopular. I mean, I remember always having to justify it way back when, right? But then the results spoke for themselves. And there is very much a way to be visible and very successful remotely. And again, it starts with that operational excellence and that mindset, right? That I mentioned before. And it's so imperative. And like I said, I want to tell you, I'm the most creative marketing executive you've ever met, but without a structured foundation and solid processes at every single step, it won't work. And again, I'm going to sound repetitive, but the next sentence, consistency is key. And I'm consistent in saying that. And so the cadence, the communications, you have to know every Friday at 10 a.m. is marketing town hall. It never changes, right? And when that's done correctly, it's been my experience that these hybrid teams become the highest performing teams at a company. And being thoughtful, intentional, and planning for every single meeting, even staff meetings, like even the internal meetings. I like to call it being calculatedly casual. You have to have a little bit of fun too, but there is no doubt a plan and process behind every meeting. And again, to make it work in breaking down silos, everybody has one playbook. I can't have an events team off here doing trade shows that the field marketing team has never heard of, and that sales is like, what, right? And so you have to think like a sales rep and always start with the field. I always do. And you, like I said, you have to be so organized and think in terms of annual, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily targets and metrics. And I think remote working, there's really goodness in it as well. Like I said, I've been doing it for a long time. And it really has emphasized the necessity of soft skills in our leaders. And, with platforms like Zoom or the one that we're on now, I feel like it's really leveled the playing field a bit. And as introverts, perhaps now have more of a voice via chat option, right? And so as you're leading a disparate, diverse, remote team, to me, one of the core skills that you need is empathy as well as a leader. And that must be nurtured within the teams if we're going to achieve success as a global company working remotely. And I found that the most successful way to work as a remote team is to listen to your employees' needs. Truly, my team is my first priority, and putting the team first clears the path for everyone to focus on our common goals. And that consistency in communication, it's not rocket science. There's a dashboard, and if we're doing Evolve, product marketing knows where they fit, demand gen knows where they fit, field knows where they fit, and everybody has one dashboard. We'll red, yellow, green it, right? And we all get together and we talk weekly. And again, it's that consistency in communication. So And as a leader, you have to put your team first. And that is my number one priority. And then it's marketing. And again, just making sure that the team has what they need to be their personal best on a remote. And just again, that engagement, because I think when it works, the hardest part is turning it off, right? Because when you're in a physical office, well, okay, bye, and you're going to the car park or the parking lot, and off you go. But so you have to be intentional with the boundaries and the balance.
Right. It's a great point, Mary. And the other sort of program I sort of was looking at your website was the Cloudera Now, which also was an interesting way to share innovation with your clients through digital programs, right? Which I thought was interesting because a lot of companies don't put a lot of effort to share product innovations with their clients on a regular basis, right? Any thoughts or learnings from that series, Mary, which at least from me look very interesting?
Oh yeah, no, thank you. That's a great program that I graciously inherited when I joined. It's a phenomenal program. And Cloudera Now, now we call it internally, is it's our quarterly event, virtual event designed for data practitioners, including data scientists, data engineers, analytics professionals, who want to learn about the latest and greatest product innovations. Again, back to my previous point, mix matters. So this is one that's targeting these data practitioners. They want to roll up their sleeves and get educated on this. And the event, it includes comprehensive demos, customer use cases, and a very robust interactive Q&A. So it's not as if here's the obligatory corporate deck slides and we're talking through it. It's very interactive. And at Cloudera, in our culture as well, we really prioritize virtual learning and opportunities, given that we're a global company with employees, partners, and customers all over the world. So digital events allow people to connect with the brand and Cloudera technology anywhere, which is extremely important, again, as a CMO of a global company. And piling on Cloudera Now, we've taken that and kind of double-clicked, triple-clicked, and now we have these really cool and robust hackathons and meetup programs under our community marketing team. And these events are really cool and managed both virtually as well as in person. And like with very little effort, we have thousands and thousands of people participating worldwide. So the world is curious as to what's going on, and we want to share as much as possible that we can, because we want to get people inspired and energized, and just see what Cloudera, what you can do with Cloudera is limitless. So we love to share and have other people tell our story.
Love that, Mary. I love the fact that you use the word limitless in the last sentence now. You're always consistent when it comes to messaging.
My brand team will be very happy that I did
that. That's awesome. One sort of just overall general question that I would love to hear from you is, a lot of software companies in general are operating in highly competitive markets, right? Where everything looks the same from the outside, and it's tough to even differentiate in a lot of different areas. When a company is stuck like that, right, how can they stand out from the sea of sameness, right? Like when you described Cloudera, for example, you had a very clear articulation of what makes Cloudera different. So what is the right set of steps that a company should take to get there? Would just like to hear your thoughts overall in general.
Yeah. So piling on kind of the See Now example of getting customers to talk about us, getting people like you to talk about us, getting partners to talk about us, right? And when I joined the company, we were again, about 9 months ago, we were in a rebuilding and rebranding phase. And we're still focused on amplifying the Cloudera brand and making sure that globally we're aligned and communicating the right vision for the company. As I mentioned, I'm going to say it again, consistency is key, that messaging, right? That simplified messaging. And refreshing and amplifying a brand in a very competitive marketing, it starts with B2E marketing. And don't Google that. That's Amerism. I made that up. It's business to employee, right? So I've got to get the internal constituents jazzed about what we're doing at Cloudera, about the messaging, where we're going, the vision. And I have to be clear. I have to have messaging alignment. Think about this as like modern day focus groups in your internal company. And then you also have to get research and feedback early and often, and iterate constantly. I can't just arbitrarily say, you know what, today I feel like the Cloudera logo should be blue.
Right.
you just don't, brand doesn't happen in a click, right? You have to involve these key constituents from the beginning, both internal and external. And it's a rolling drip type of process. And with what platforms? Are we using the snow cone truck to show that, like, wow, Cloudera's got swagger, they're pretty cool, right? Is it our messaging? How does our website look? What does the LinkedIn page look? What do our campaigns look and feel like? What does the corporate deck say, right? And because it doesn't happen overnight, you do have to practice the pause, practice that proverbial pause, and know why you're doing it. Like, why are you refreshing and amplifying this brand? And my message to the team is we have to absolutely differentiate, but don't lose our identity. You know, think about our evolution over the past 15, 20 years, right? With big data pioneers, that's part of our history. And with the emergence of AI, we want our messaging to focus on incorporating the technology and differentiating the brand, but we don't want to lose the historical context of how we got here, right? So you can't change everything in one go. You got to crawl, walk, and run.
Right.
And you also have to track the brand. You don't just do it. And you know, I think we did okay. You actually, and it's really hard. You have to track brand metrics. Is it resonating? How's the customer engagement? How's the web traffic? How's the social media activity? The leads, earned media coverage. Again, just being intentional and rolling it out thoughtfully. You got to build on what's working. And at the end of the day, always with the customer lens, put them first. And is this going to resonate with our customers?
That's a great point, Mary. Thank you for explaining that. One side tangential sort of topic that I want to pick your thoughts on is AI in general, you mentioned, but also any early use cases of AI in marketing that you're experimenting with, seeing any results. I know it's early, but would love to hear your perspective on that one.
Yeah. No, like I said, it's kind of that creepy cool kind of next wave, right? Yeah, I mean, AI takes everything we do up a notch, right? It improves efficiency, it improves customer service. Wow, the one-to-one marketing, the personalization, you're able to identify user behavior. It's easier to predict product and market segments, industries, etc. And we think back to like traditional marketing, like back in the day, you typically got that type of knowledge and intelligence with surveys and focus groups to gather feedback and insights. And that's what we did, right? And now with AI, we are able to analyze unstructured data from sources like social media, customer reviews, online forums, et cetera, to gain deeper insights into customer info. You're also able to do better supply and demand forecasts and pipeline forecasts and accuracy. So to me, that has been a huge help. Also, I think our products team, I'm certain that they're using it to improve, products and functionality, and the same for our campaigns. And all of this greatness comes at a bit of a cost. There's always a trade-off, and it's privacy, both human and data. And kind of to where I was giving the pitch on Cloudera, do you trust the data?
Right.
And the other thing as a leader, when you have all of these AI tools, you have to really be intentional and focus on your team's brain power and creativity, right? That scrappiness. And just, again, I really wish that I had this when I was back in, university to just write a white paper or, a thesis. But so you have to be intentional in making sure that the team stays creative. And like anything, some jobs will be replaced and some won't. It's just like any other industry revolution. It's that big. And, again, AI, it allows us to automate the tedious tasks and free up our marketing employees in particular to do that more creative work. And it's extremely important for marketing teams, given it's a primary job function, to reach audiences in a creative way. So if I can take away kind of that tedious behind the scenes work, then they can come up with, cool, fun, scrappy things like a snow cone truck, right? That actually have significant value.
That's great, Marie. Thanks for explaining that. And in general, there has been a lot of chatter around the importance of video in marketing, etc. I'm just video, right? Because the consumption patterns of people are changing towards a lot more of bite-sized content, short-form video that are all exposed to on social platforms. Just like to hear your perspective on how video and also how overall content marketing is evolving, right? And especially with your lens that you always go back to the foundations and fundamentals, right? So I know that you don't get caught up on trends easily. So I would love to hear your perspective on this in general.
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah. So obviously video is super important. It gives us the opportunity to cut through the noise and showcase the brand on various platforms. Video absolutely helps drive awareness, engagement. It increases time spent on websites. It bumps up our SEO results. I think video allows people to get a better sense of the brand and the customer personalities, whether that's an exec presenting, a product marketing manager, giving a quick, hey, did you know, 1 minute video, or a customer experience video. So I think it provides valuable opportunities to engage with industry topics, such as those discussed at those big tech events that I was talking about. And video is part of everything we do, even at those big events and trade shows. We always have a little video clip running as well. So teams and companies, I think if you're not doing video, you're going to leave a lot on the table without incorporating video into your overall strategy. Everything. I actually just had our CEO do a video invitation to Evolve to some of our partners, to make it personal, right? So everything from announcements to invitations to doing meetings like this, I think video is key.
That's great. And one topic you sort of touched upon maybe in the beginning, but we didn't double click on it a lot. I would love to hear your sort of operational rhythm that you have with your team. I think you sort of mentioned about weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual. Are there any particular, like for example, you said all hands happens on Friday, and then is there like a quarterly business review, annual planning? Like, what does the rhythm look like? Because since you're operating at such a tight ship, would love to hear your thoughts on that one.
A tight but fun ship that's making a difference. Yeah. No, you know what? Truly, it has happened for the past 20 plus years for me when I've come in, and I've announced because I grew up way back when in the field marketing ranks. So I grew up as a marketing person who thinks like a sales rep. So that's where the annual, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily targets come from. And what I know is that kind of cadence equals success, right? So with like a marketing town hall, and this happens at every single company, probably for the past 5 companies where I've been a CMO, 5 or 6. And I will introduce myself and say, okay, well, every Friday for an hour and a half, we're going to have an all hands marketing town hall. Some companies, it's hundreds of employees that join this call, or some companies it's, 50.
Right.
And I, as I said before, I go into that meeting. It's my favorite meeting of the week, with an intentional agenda. I basically am as transparent as possible. And it's basically a way for me to showcase to the entire team what my week looked like. However, I probably only speak for about 5 or 10 minutes because nobody wants to hear me speak except for you for 30 minutes. Right?
No, you're good.
Every single company, I always get oh my gosh, I can't believe we have a 90-minute meeting every Friday. And at every company at the beginning, I always say, you mark my word, it's going to be the most popular meeting at this company. We're going to have a list of people who want to get on the agenda that's going to be 2 months out in 90 days. And then like clockwork on day 91, I look at my marketing ops and chief of staff and like, how's our agenda lineup looking? Oh, we're 2 months out, because people understand. Now, will 100% of the content be relevant to 100% of the people? Absolutely not. But will 80% be relevant to pretty much everybody? Absolutely, because we're all working from one messaging document, one event document, et cetera. So you will learn something. And, the keynote speakers are great. And like I said, it's typically my week condensed into an executive summary. And the teams love it because there's such transparency. But make no mistake, they are run like clockwork. And the presentations are due ahead of time. I look at every single slide, and you have an agenda, and I will cut you off at 9 minutes because you had 9 minutes on the agenda. But they're fun and they're energetic, and maybe pretty soon. And this is a shout out to my team. We're gonna have fantasy football, so we'll talk about that for a lot, at the beginning. But so you have to make it fun too, because we're virtual. It's not like we go out to breakfast afterwards. So you have to get creative and give everybody a DoorDash coupon. Hey, go get your beverage choice. And so you're making it fun and so, but it never wavers. It's always Friday morning at 10 a.m. for 90 minutes.
Mary, I'm going to steal this from you if that's okay. But can you share a little bit about the agenda of the meeting that happens? Like, for example, you go in and share the exec summary. In the remaining of the meeting, is it more about teams sharing what they're working on and sort of like spreading the information across other teams? Is that how it's typically structured? Or
yeah, no, it's a great question. They're more or less the same. You don't need to steal it. I'm all about copy, cut, and paste. I'm happy to send you some agenda samples. Typically, I'll give a high-level overview, and typically I talk for about 10 minutes or so, and it's a 90-minute meeting. And let's say, so we just had a great acquisition with Virtus. So I met the CEO, who's now part of our team. We're thrilled to have Manasi. And she's terrific. So I said, my team needs to know you. So she went next. Team, let me introduce you to Manasi.
Right.
We all are going to be working with Manasi. So she had, a 15-minute, I'll call it keynote. And then probably we'll have our events vice president. She runs demand gen and the events program. So take Evolve 24, another plug for that. So she will lead that Evolve talk. How do we move the needle? And so she will go right around, hey, field marketing, how's the audience acquisition going? Hey, product marketing, how are the presentations and the content going? Hey, design team, brand team, right? And so she won't talk the whole time by herself, but she'll lead that team because everybody on the marketing team has something there. And then I might have, the marketing ops team. Let's talk about metrics. Where are we, how are pipeline goals going? So it typically, or, there's a new campaign rolling out. Last week we gave significant time to our demand gen team. Holy moly, how fast they created an integrated marketing machine. Mm-hmm. It was staggering, but again, it's applicable to everybody on the marketing team. And then the extent, so it's an open invitation. So the great news, and this is also what happens, is not only do I have a long list of people who want to get on the agenda, I open it up to the entire company. So I have people from customer, support on the call, services on the call, sales will join, because they know they're going to show up and they're going to learn something.
Right.
Because it's been well thought out. And I put as much effort into that internal meeting that I would if it was a customer, event. Because I owe that to my team.
Right. I think the last point you mentioned is what gets missed sometimes is that for internal meetings, especially things like this, people don't put in the same amount of effort compared to an external one, and then teams lose interest because it's not well thought through, etc. So I think that's a great point.
Yeah, we've all had it, and I learned it really early in my career. I was at was an executive offsite, probably 20, 25 years ago, and we were in a meeting room for like 9.5 hours, and it was just a bunch of people talking, nobody paying attention. And I remember thinking, I've just wasted 9 hours of my life that I will never get back. And time is so precious because it's the one thing you can manage, but you can't control it.
Right.
And so I've always made it a point not to waste people's time because it's so valuable. And like I said, my team is my number one priority. And then the rest is marketing.
Mary, interest of time, I only have 2 questions, if that's okay.
Sure. That's fine. Yeah.
Are there any other Mary-isms that we have not spoken about in this podcast?
I'm sure my team has a book of them. Mix matters is one that I talk about a lot. The B2E marketing I talk about a lot. The practice, the pause is one I talk about a lot. Because you have to, how do you intentionally focus? You have to prune those distractions. And so we are a high performing team that is completely calibrated right now, as they say, operating on all cylinders. But it's super important to just pause for a second. Okay, where are we going? Great. And now that we've done that, we need to fly. And so I'm known for my proverbial practice the pause, but I think it matters and you have to do that.
That's great, Mary. That's great. I think we have covered 3: B2E, practice, pause, mix and match. That's great.
The mix matters. Yeah.
Mix matters, right.
Yeah.
And then my last question, Mary, for you. I know that a lot of listeners listening to you are in the middle management marketing function who want to become CMOs someday, right? And they sort of listen to folks like you hoping to get there. What are some of your learnings or reflection or advice that you would want to give to folks who aspire to be there at some point of time? Anything that worked for you in general? Would love to hear from you.
I love that question because it's different for everybody.
Right.
The what and how you work are equally important. The what and how you say are equally important, and it's that whole attitude versus aptitude, right? And candidly, I think attitude is actually more important. I can teach you how to do marketing. Right. And I think if you're striving to get to that next level, and if you really think about marketing as a services organization, you always have to ask, hey, how can I help? Again, my field team, my sales team, they're my number one customer. How can I help them, right? And be the first to do that and then follow through. And it will definitely lead you into projects that may otherwise not have been on your radar. And again, you just have to keep remembering that marketing is that services organization. So take the less desirable jobs when no one is volunteering and be the best at it. Because when the cool projects come along, you're going to be remembered as somebody who made a difference, right?
Right.
And I said, get an experience across the board. Volunteer. If you're in, brand or you're in marketing ops, volunteer to help at an event, write a blog, ask for feedback, and learn how marketing metrics work. And make sure, this one I think is really key. If you really think that striving to be a CMO is where you want to go, make sure that your business acumen continues to grow and is spot on. You have to think like a business leader, not necessarily a marketing only leader. And so set up informal interviews with the CMO, the CRO, the CFO, the CEO. Ask about their business, be curious. And along those lines, you have to be a great networker, network, as they say. As a CMO, I think of myself more as a business leader because I'm not the best demand gen person right now. I'm not the best product marketing person. I have to hire the best demand gen, the best comms, the best product marketing, because I know that teamwork works, and that I've got to calibrate and help them keep this machine going. So you have to really hone those leadership skills. And what I tell people also is get a mentor and be a mentor. More than you think. And I think that that's really valuable experience to go through. Working on your executive presence, understanding your personal brand, and just to be humble but confident. Nobody knows everything, right? And it is okay to ask questions and always trust your instincts. And gosh, I wish I had $1 for every time people have thanked me at the coffee machine during a break, during an executive QBR, for asking what I might have thought years ago was that dumb question. Hey, gosh, I'm so glad that you asked that, because I was thinking the same thing. And chances are, if you're thinking it, other people are too. So the other thing I would tell people is always try something. It's kind of like that networking thing that I was going down. The price of inaction is too high. Now, I don't mean to be, just go flying, doing crazy things. Again, using that pause. But and when you're trying something, remember to always be frugal and protect and conserve your resources. And but be brave, because most things worth doing are hard. And I would encourage people to attend as many internal trainings the company has to offer. Find other industry events that you can attend. If your company can't afford it, maybe you attend it virtually. Sign up for the marketing industry newsletters. Follow other marketing people on LinkedIn at every level and engage. And this is kind of like the 100,000 foot view as any leader. It doesn't matter your level, but you have to be authentic. You cannot fake integrity. You have to have that impeccable digital footprint. You have to know that results matter. You have to be accountable, and you have to listen and really focus, kind of that pruning the distractions that I was talking about earlier. And just being flexible, because if you can't scale as a business leader who happens to be a CMO, you will fail. And I think finally, from my experience, like I said, I started my marketing career off in the field, and so I'm not a marketing executive who is going to fight the engineering team on speeds and feeds, feature functions. I know enough to be dangerous, but that's not my wheelhouse. Right. But from my experience, and I think this is true for anybody in marketing, you have to understand how the company operates, especially with regard to sales and revenue. That is imperative. You have to know where the revenue is and how it's being generated and where it's coming from. And so be that marketing person who thinks like a sales leader. Get to know the field. Be aligned and attached with how the company succeeds and wins and manages customers. But most important, you have to have fun too. Energy and enthusiasm are contagious. Surround yourself with people who push you to be your personal best, and ensure that you do the same for them. And at the end of the day, just stay open-minded when it comes to your job, your role, your level, your title. Just learn from it and know that it's a stepping stone to your next great move. I think is how I would summarize it. So I know that was a lot, but
that was a very impressive response, Mary. A lot of CMOs I've spoken to pick on individual threads. You just collated like a Bible of list of things that people should keep in mind. So it was just fascinating to listen to you for that particular section. So. Mary, I know that you're busy, but this has been such an amazing conversation. So thank you for doing this.
Yes, it's been great. It's been great. Thank you so much for the invitation. It was a pleasure, and look forward to continued conversations.